Check this out, black gold.
Garage time.
Hey there, I've been posting a little bit less frequently, but the work has been continuing on a daily basis. The motivation is still very high, but it's taken a while to collect all the engine tin, repair it, and then paint it. And so I didn't record video on most of that. I'm gonna give you a few highlights of what had to get done. Check it out. This engine tin is pretty easily damaged. So for instance, the heater boxes, the double flappers, had some tabs that were either broken off or missing. So I had to either create and re-weld some of those pieces on there. Lots of straightening of the pieces. There was a few screws broken off in the threads, just rusted in place. Some of the holes had been enlarged, so I had to redo some of the holes. Some of the vanes inside the fan shroud were broken. My TIG welder and I probably saved myself $400 to $500 in used part value to replace the fan shroud, the heater boxes, and some of the miscellaneous engine tin that had broken screws, all of which were fixed with my TIG welder. I'm gonna click to a video right here, or click this video right here if you're interested in repairing really thin sheet metal. I did this on my 356 backing plates, and you can kind of get an idea sort of the precautions and steps I take to do that kind of welding. I didn't do video on this because it's really the same video. And in terms of the painting process, it's really just a matter of, cleaning it really well, degreasing it, and then sanding it. I used my DA sander for a lot of this stuff. Some of the stuff had a lot of grooves on it. It was really just cleaned with Scotch-Brite. And the paint I use is Rust-Oleum. It's a hardened Rust-Oleum. So I get industrial Rust-Oleum in the quart cans. I mix it with my own ratio between gloss and flat. So there's a 2-to-1 ratio there on gloss to flat, and then I put an enamel hardener in it. I also put a little bit of acetone in it so I can spray it. And that is the recipe I've used throughout my 911. The stuff is pretty durable, and a lot of people like to powder coat this. To powder coat all this would probably be $300 to $400 at least. So I think that this looks a little bit better, a little closer to the factory finish, and it didn't cost me more than about 20 bucks. Now the engine's been patiently waiting over here in the corner to get a little dress up. It's ready to be refitted with the painted tin. Now I do have multiples of just about everything. So this fan shroud here will go into the for sale pile. This engine also has a few 356 parts, which I'm gonna swap out for the correct 912 stuff. The Weber carburetors are gonna stay for now. And some stuff has been replated, but not all of it. A lot of the hardware still needs to be replated, so I'm just gonna get most of the parts on the engine and we'll see what else needs to be done. Yeah, if you're confused why I'm putting a 912 engine in my 911, this is really a temporary engine, and I'm gonna get all the bugs worked out of my car, make sure it can drive, and enjoy the car while I'm rebuilding hopefully a 911 engine soon. I'm gonna start by swapping out this generator stand for the 912 version, and also going with the larger generator. This is the small diameter generator. And I have a large diameter one that just puts out a little bit more power. I think it's 450 watts versus like 350 or something. And these are kind of valuable as well, so I'll probably recoup a little bit of money on this one. I think this is a 1 year only 1968. Just need to take this air cleaner off so we can remove that fan shroud. Okay, previously, I cleaned this large diameter generator stand and I ended up having to clean this one too. They're both really clean inside, and that's important because you don't want junk falling into your engine. So this should go on, easy peasy. Okay, I'm gonna get started with this larger diameter generator. I did bench test this with 12 volts right to the D+, and it does operate as a motor. So if it operates as a motor, it's likely gonna operate as a generator. And there is a diagram in the factory workshop manual that shows the placement of all these components. The fan, there's lots of shims and hubs and spacers and stuff. This is what's called the cover plate, and it doesn't have a top or a bottom, at least on this one. So I'm going to place this right here. And this guy gets a washer, and then a wavy washer, and then a 6mm nut. This hub goes on next. I'm gonna put a little bit of anti-seize on there and make sure this doesn't get locked in. Very light dab of this anti-seize. Okay, I just noticed this has a couple little marks on it, so I'm gonna file the marks out of that, make sure the hub goes on nice and smooth. Perfect. And next thing on the stack up is this thick washer, although it looks like I got this one on backwards. I gotta take this off. Okay, looks like this one goes here. And this piece wasn't really on the workshop manual, but I'm pretty certain that goes like that. And then this has a vent on the bottom, and it doesn't tell you in the manual either where that goes, but I know it should go down. And then it shows this cover plate going on here like this. Okay, and that looks way too far off right here. There's too much space right there. I have a second fan, and it seems to have a different depth to the way it's pressed together or pressed down. So I'm gonna put this one on because this one fits a little closer to that cover. It's supposed to be a 3mm distance there. So I think this one fits a little better. We'll find out. So there's that. And thick washer, it's the one I took out from underneath there. And then the nut. Okay, and it's gonna need some shims for it to actually tighten down. And now it's actually tightening on there. Okay, I'm getting about 4mm, even if you measure on these little points that stick out. I don't know how to get it any closer. I've tried 2 different fans. I have 2 different hubs are the same. So that's as close as I can get that one. There's no washers preventing it from going any further in. And this side of things, it also gets a hub. Put a shim or 2 here. And there's a large stack of shims. This is what adjusts the belt tension. So I'm just going to get a few of these in here. Doesn't appear to be too bad. There is a gasket that goes between the fan shroud. And then this slot goes on the bottom. Okay, I flipped it over and just trying to get a look at how this fan is positioned in the fan shroud. This is that roughly 3 to 4 millimeters right here. And nothing is binding, nothing's rubbing, everything fits really well. Then you look back here, and this is the part where, you know, the air rolls in, gets sucked into the fan, and then shoot out the to the cylinders. And this space right here is a little bit large. I think, if my understanding the way fans work is that this will control the pressure, because if the gap here is too large, any pressure that's generated in the fan shroud can just leak out the inlet. So I may try to just add a little bit of the, maybe not even the thick washer, maybe just a little bit more of the shims, push this fan just a little bit further towards this inlet seal, and I think that's going to work just slightly better. Armature is pretty strong, so I'm going to put a torque wrench on this end, hold it on this end, and do my best to get 70 foot-pounds. This is 50. Okay, there's 50 for sure. Okay, after 50 foot-pounds, the torque felt a little weird, a little squishy to me, so I didn't push it any harder than that. And I went and looked on my computer to double check the torque spec, and for Volkswagen it says 45. The Porsche manual, or at least my manual, so 356 manual, says 72. And I don't know if that's right. If any of you know what the right value should be, I'm gonna quit at about 50. I think 50 is a good number. It feels plenty tight enough to me. But there's a little discrepancy there between Volkswagen 912 and 356. I'm not quite sure what's right, but it's only an M12, and normally M12s don't usually go to 72. Normally it's a little bit closer to 50. So I'm gonna stay right at 50. I don't think it's gonna fall off. Okay, that gap now between the impeller and this little shroud part is a little tighter. So I kind of like that better. Should work just fine. Torqued down on the nut here. So all should be well. And this little bracket goes right here. Now the fan shroud is on. Okay, each of these cylinder tins are just a little bit different. This one is probably the most unique. It has a big cutout here, and it goes right over the case nut. So this is for cylinder number 2. Okay. Leave these loose just as I continue to get more in. Okay, the backside tins, or in this case the front of the car, doesn't have these little holes like this hole right here. That's for this spark plug wire grommet. There are none in the back, so we'll just put this one here. Okay, the end tins are a little difficult to get this bolt right here, so I'm gonna lift up the whole fan shroud with tin and just try to get that nut started and then drop it back down. Not sure if that's gonna work. I may have to take the carburetors off. See how far we can do. I'm just gonna prop this up. So these end pieces fit like this, one over the other. It's a little flange. And we just drop these in place. Squeeze it together and screw it in. Yeah, I found the hardware that goes here in this vent. This is a tube that just, pops up like that, connects up to here. The other side gets a plug. And the rubber bits that go in the head are completely brittle and hard. So you need new rubber bits to go in here. So I'm gonna have to order that. This large side tin here should go right underneath, just like that, right up against the manifold. This will all drop down, 2 screws right there. I'll probably leave those loose as well after I get the other side done. Make sure I have room to get that rubber grommet in. Ugh. Oh, now it's in. Okay, this one's lining up, so I'm gonna put a screw in there. This rope is gonna help hold this up while I maneuver the screw in there. Something I do quite a bit of. I use this paracord and 2 kinds of knots. I use the bowline and the taut line. This little plate here just goes right there, and it gives you the 2 spots to screw that tin down. Okay, this triangle piece looks like it goes right here. Still have quite a few leftover bits. Now, some of these are extra. I won't be needing them, but I think I'm missing 1 piece. There should be a piece that goes right here underneath the fuel bowl, kind of like next to the dipstick, and it's got a dish to it. And I've seen that piece, but I didn't paint it. I don't know where it is. All right, this piece is designed to pick up that hole right there and go, underneath the pulley, but it's clearly not gonna fit. Now these are the stock 912 pieces right here, and then I welded onto the bottom. So normally this would sneak up underneath there, but in my case, it won't. So the purpose of this is really to prevent the hot air from the exhaust going up into the engine. So I'll probably have to just create my own plate, probably right across here, and that will solve that problem. Speaking of motor mounts, I guess I can put this back on. That goes like that. Maybe while I'm here, maybe I should replace this pulley. This pulley is the 2-hole pulley, and it's kind of got that yellow zinc color to it. This is the 4-hole pulley. It's more correct for a 356. So I'm gonna pull that off, swap it out with this one. The back of this one's in good condition. It should seal just fine. Here we go, jaws of life here. Almost there, you guys. Another piece that didn't get painted is this one. And this one, I tried to clean it the best I could, and I stopped because it was really caked on rust and just old oil grime inside here. And what I tried to do is clean it with some degreaser. I put a bunch of nuts inside, like 10 of the 10mm nuts. This is what the nuts look like when they came out. They're really gritty, lots of oil residue, and just caked on oil, really, just baked on. It was too dirty to just paint it and throw it on the engine. This debris could get inside the internals of the crankcase and really cause a lot of damage. So I ended up baking it in the barbecue for like an hour, 400 degrees, and that got a lot of the excess oil residue out. And now it's like a flaky debris. So if you whack it, you can kind of see all the dust and stuff coming out of it. Next step, and I wanted to do this anyways, I ordered a ultrasonic cleaner. And so this will get submerged in several different types of solution to really clean it from the inside out. This is something you also don't want to sandblast because there are some seams where it's made and you can never get the sand out of those seams and it'll destroy your engine as well. This oil canister, this is the oil filter canister. I have a few of these. This one's probably one of the ugliest, but this is the thing that goes right in the center of the engine. This thing goes right here on that bracket I just installed. It gets a strap that holds it on place. It's a bypass filter. Now I installed a full flow filter down at the bottom. 100% of the oil goes through that and filters it. Now this is still recommended to use it because the oil is passing through at a slower speed. It's a different filter media. So this filter might catch a little something that the full flow doesn't, I'm not sure. But it also just completes the engine. This is kind of makes it look more like a Porsche engine too, instead of a Volkswagen engine. Another thing that didn't get completed is this piece of tin that typically goes on the back of the engine. It clips on the crankcase right here, and this prevents air from going, through the back of the engine into the inlet of the cooling fan. This happens to be for a 356, and I originally thought this was correct for a 912, but it's really just too short and the curvature is wrong. So this, I didn't paint it because it doesn't belong on this engine. So I'll either get the correct 912 one, or I might end up just fabricating something that's kind of flat and just blocks off the air. That's all it really does. Hey, this has been a long week of getting all these details done. It does look better. It's by no means a Concorde correct engine, but it looks better, and I think it's going to work a little better with the cooling tin on. Some of you guys thought I was going to run the car without the cooling tin on, and that was never the case. I always anticipated pulling the engine out, finishing up all the cooling tin, and getting it roadworthy, and that includes all the engine tin that separates it from the engine bay. That's really important. There's seals that go around the engine bay. All that stuff is pretty important, so that will take place before I really go for a drive of any particular length. Okay, so here on the list, we can at least cross off install engine tin. That's the bulk of it. There's still a little bit more to do, but that I think is the bulk of it. That's it. Take care, everyone. Enjoy your weekend. Thanks for watching.